Yeah, maybe, but the racket will talk.
Welcome to episode 8 of the Racket Will Talk podcast. I'm Charlotte.
And I'm Sam.
And we are here to talk about basically the clay season so far before the big one. We just finished watching the Rome men's final between Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz. We'll talk quite a bit about Rome because it just happened, and then we'll do quite a special and exciting segment, I guess, which is Sam's, what would you call it? Your signature thing, which is the power rankings.
My yearly tradition, I guess.
Your yearly tradition, which is power rankings. I'm getting in on that this year. So we've both made our own power rankings for Roland Garros. What we'll do is we'll talk through them and argue, and you'll see why mine are right. I've got 10 on each. Is that what you have?
Yes,
yeah.
That's also what I have.
I got 10 on each, and I also have a wild card on each of them. Which,
love that.
Just because I thought, throw a name into the mix if someone really random were to win. Anyway, we'll start with Rome, which just happened, and we had Jasmine Paolini winning the women's event, beating Coco in the final, and Carlos Alcaraz winning the men's event, beating Jannik in the final. What do we notice from that tournament early on, late on, the finals, big names? What happened?
Yes, I mean, there were two, I feel main events early on. On the women's side, you had quite a shocking loss actually for Iga Świątek in the third round against Collins. And the main event, I mean, early on and also basically all the way through, was Jannik Sinner's return to tennis after he has served his punishment, his doping ban, and now he has returned. And I mean, that was always going to be...
He served and then he returned.
He did. I didn't even mean that again. That was always going to be something that is scrutinized. Some people still are not happy that he's back and all that. But just beyond that, I mean, I think most people were just curious to see how he would show up. And he sure did, in many ways.
Yeah, the thing I kind of noticed overall, I've written this down, the narrative around Rome was a general de-pigeonization. And maybe it didn't happen in that many places, but Danielle Collins, who used to have this thing against Iga, which was mostly made up by Danielle Collins fans, the idea that she could beat her was turned around quite heavily recently because Iga had been comfortably beating Danielle Collins. Was it 3 or 4 times in a row, something like that?
It might have been 5.
Wow.
5 in a row or something. It was 6-1 before they played.
Okay, so she then really had her number after that Australian Open semi-final in 2022. Yes.
So
you don't expect this to be a challenging match for Iga. A lot of the recent losses she's taken have been those players that we think are challenging matchups, namely Ostapenko. And then Danielle Collins just, came back, and what was that? Was it straight sets?
Yeah, it was. I think it was 6-1, actually really bad. She was on Bagel Watch again for quite a bit. And then the second set was 7-5 or something.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, hitting return winners and things like that, the things that we had remembered her for doing in the Australian Open semi-final. Iga was obviously really bad. And then the other one was the Zheng Chenwen beating Sabalenka. Another head-to-head that's comfortably in Sabalenka's favour. I mean, I remember we watched was it a Beijing match? One of the matches in the China 1000s together last year?
Yeah, I think might have been Wuhan actually. Okay. It's the final in Wuhan, I think it was.
Yeah, and it was just even that was relative, one of their closer matches, and it was...
Yeah, it was.
Still, there was no feeling...
Never in doubt, yeah.
Never in doubt. So that was the kind of thing I took away from the tournament. Those two de-pigeonizations come with a lot of different context, though. I guess maybe you could talk a little bit about Iga's one.
I mean, I feel like I've been doing this segment for several podcasts in a row, but I guess this time it's probably even worse in some ways, because as you said, that had become quite a comfortable matchup. And most concerning of all, it came in Rome, which is one of her best events on tour, like quite easily. I would say I find her even better in Rome than in RG in most years. And also, the pattern had been, for the most part, that she would reach latter stages of tournaments, namely quarterfinals and semifinals, and then her level would kind of like drop, and she would lose in those stages, like pretty basically always. And so when you come into that Collins match, it's like, well, should still be doable. It's Rome, it's the other rounds, she should be able to figure it out. And she did not, very much did not. I mean, that's maybe something we'll mention when we talk about Madrid as well. Her level has really, really dropped. I mean, my thing about like the rest of the year was that she had quite a few good performances before the latter stages where she would kind of like collapse. But here in Madrid, I felt like she just was never playing well, like at all. She made the semis kind of like scrap through a bunch of matches. And then in Rome, I mean, she had, I guess, a decent first match, but also not too difficult of a matchup opponent. But then, yeah, she comes in against Collins, so very, very, very stressed like early on, and the level is just never there. Like, pretty baffling, just missing a bunch, always seems unsure what to do, how to play, how to win. That's where we are.
I guess it is worth mentioning, right, this is before Rome, right, her grandfather died, and I think this was a kind of a bit of backstory of the emotion of the loss, right? Was this before Rome or was it before Madrid?
It was before Madrid, like right after Stuttgart, she came straight to Madrid, and then like the next day, so like the first Monday of Madrid, the tournament hadn't actually started. She went back to Warsaw to attend the funeral of her grandfather. So that was, a bit of context, maybe that explained a bit why she wasn't playing well in Madrid. That was part of the speculation.
I think it was more maybe explained the emotion of the moment and the emotion of the loss, rather than necessarily being like, oh no, like an excuse. It's not intended to be an excuse, right? It was more like a bit of context of why she came across as perhaps too emotional for some people. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, she is emotional on court, but it's only ever one way. The joy seems to, for now at least, have left her, which is pretty sad to say and pretty, I think, hard to watch for basically anyone. I actually think it's going to, even people who don't like her and root for her to lose, it might get a bit like sad for them as well. So that's where we are.
Yeah, so she lost to Coco in Madrid, which was a bit of depigeonization as well. Coco's now won 3 in a row against her. Then she loses to Danielle Collins in, what was it, round 3? Round 3 in Rome, in, what's meant to be one of her best tournaments, and is one of her best tournaments. So big question marks over where she is in her career. There's obviously there was that ban at the end of last year. She seems to not be the same ever since. The thing I find weird though about this was we noticed, and lots of people noticed, that the beginning of the season, United Cup and Australian Open, she was actually playing really well, and she had her best ever performance at the Australian Open, another semi-final, but 1 point away from the final. So I don't know, it's strange that it seems to kind of come on later this stretch rather than being directly after the ban when we might expect that. And I am not surprised that she's someone who was heavily affected by this kind of thing. We know what she is like. She's likes everything to be in her control. So I can imagine when things are taken out of her control and there's question marks over how much control she actually has, even when she thinks she has control, if that makes sense. She thinks she knows what she's putting into her body, but actually she doesn't. That could affect someone like her. But I think it's weird that it seems to have kind of been growing over time. Maybe it's not weird.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it also kind of exemplifies how the tours can become kind of just I think actually Ruud mentioned it, the hamster's wheel, where you just never get off, and where it's when you start getting into a negative headspace maybe, or your form is just not as good and you keep losing. And for Iga also, I think it became about, I haven't won a title in so long, I haven't even made a final in so long, and so you just feel like she will need that to maybe start trusting herself again on court, perhaps. But it doesn't happen, and so she takes bad loss after bad loss, and then she just goes to the next tournament, and then it's a loop, like a, I don't know if you say that in English actually. In French we say a vicious circle.
We have a vicious cycle. We have a cycle.
You say cycle, we say circle actually. Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's what it feels like to me, at least.
If you're losing tournament after tournament, and you're losing, like, you know, before the final, where I can imagine the occasion feels a bit different. What makes the tournaments different? You know, what separates them? It's just, you know, I play 3-4 matches in a row, and then I go to a different city, but I'm still, you know, staying in a hotel. I'm still seeing the same people. I'm still seeing the same players. I'm with my team. There's no real break between the tournament, so it can feel like you're just still in one continuous thing. I suppose sometimes if you go to a place where you really, really like the place, that could feel like a break, because you're, I don't know, coming back to play at home, or you're coming back to play in a city where you have particularly good memories, something like that. But, you know, this clay season, or many parts of the season, could probably just feel like so, and she's not used to it feeling like that, right? She's used to having big occasions at the end of the week, something high to look forward to, and to have that, like, probably that is where, like, an outlet for her emotion. And
I think also part of it is the fact that first, like, half of the season was extremely successful for her last year. And so when you have this, like, combination of things where maybe your form isn't as good, and you don't feel quite as confident about your game, and you just know you have all of these tournaments that you feel like you might need to defend. I think that's also where, like, you can see, like, the limits of the Prince conference, like, format, because she's always like, well, I'm not really focused on the rankings, and I'm just trying to do my best every week and not think about past results. I don't think that's true, honestly. I think that's maybe what she strives for, but that's not actually what happened in her mind, I don't think. And you can see that, you know, she even had that, like, statement about how, like, upset she was she couldn't, like, back up the world #1 ranking because of the ban last year. It matters to her a lot. And so when you find yourself in that context where basically your whole ranking depends on how well you do over this stretch of, like, 4 months between, like, Doha and Roland Garros, and it's just not happening. I think that's just makes it worse. Like,
this is kind of why I hate the narrative of, well, partially why I hate the narrative of points to defend and points dropping off. Like, forget about that. You know, you did well here last year, which should make you feel good, because you know you can do well here. Forget about what's coming and going, and just, like, every time we start again on January 1st, or I guess it's, like, actually December 27th when the season starts, start afresh, and we're going to do well again, and we're not going to think about when things drop off. And I kind of hate that. Like, you know, just try and do well each time. I can understand, like, I'm not in their place, and it's so easy for us to say that. And obviously she can say it as well, but doing it's another thing, and, like, feeling it's another thing.
Yeah, she wouldn't disagree with you. She was like, yeah, I agree. I think it's bullshit, but also...
It's how I feel, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this has made me rethink my power rankings a bit, I think.
I think it's actually a pretty interesting conversation. I mean, it's the power rankings were, in a way, more interesting to do than years past.
Yeah.
We will come on to talk about that.
Stay tuned for the power rankings. I think they're going to be good, this bit. Then what else do we have? Like, the other part of that, looking at the other best player in the world for the last few years, Sabalenka, took that loss in the quarterfinals to Zheng. It was a bit of a weird match, right? Like, Sabalenka was a bit, what's the word? Like, natty? Is that a word? Not natty, like the way the gym bros say. Like, what's the word I'm looking for? Grouchy, right? She had a fight with a spectator.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't feel like the attitude was quite what it need to be. I mean, I think it's always pretty tough to win Madrid and then come back for Rome with, like, actually very different conditions. And it's even harder for Sabalenka, who she doesn't, like, struggle in, like, slower clay conditions, but still probably some of her worst on tour. So it's not all that shocking that she would lose. And I mean, I think what happened is Zheng came out with, I think, a really strong, like, game plan. And basically she it's like that specific combination of like power and athleticism that's on clay, I think, can bother Sabalenka. That's how Swiatek beats her, basically. And so, yeah, Zheng came out, executed that at, I think, a really high level, actually. Sabalenka just got like frustrated pretty fast, and then she didn't feel like she had like the juice to come back in it and to actually make it.
I think it's interesting though, because for at least what I can remember, like we've seen Sabalenka go through crazy shit, like happy because she only hit 10 double faults in a match, all kinds of nonsense. And she has been consistently playing for the last however many years without really having this kind of... I've never seen this from her before, being like, I'm tired. It feels like the motivation is always there and the fight is pretty much always there, even when other things aren't there. And she's emotional, etc. But I've never seen her get to the point where it felt like I'm just too exhausted to bring the right level right now and I'm kind of gonna tap out. I'm not saying it's a problem, and actually I think it's, in my opinion, probably a good thing for her and for her Roland Garros chances and for her Roland Garros and then Wimbledon chances, that she didn't have to do Stuttgart final, Madrid win, Rome final or win, and that, you know, have to kind of back to back, gave her some time off. But I don't know, something new I haven't seen from her, that really. Maybe other people have. What have you?
I mean, it kind of happened in Stuttgart as well, I think.
Oh, yeah.
In the final. That felt pretty similar when, you know, Ostapenko was like really bringing it, and in second set she was like, well, I can't do much about that, I guess. And so, yeah, she kind of like let it go.
Perhaps there's something that comes from being world number one where like you kind of hype yourself up so much and then in your head you're like, I'm the best player in the world, I should be able to beat everyone. And then when you start finding yourself in a position where you can't, that frustrates you more than if you were like ranked somewhere else and you don't have this I'm the best player in the world type thing. Maybe. I don't know.
Perhaps.
Yeah, so that was Zheng got that win against her. What's the head-to-head now? I don't know off the top of my...
I think it's has to be now like 1-5 or 1-6. Yeah, I mean, it is actually especially significant because, I mean, you can lose to people, but if it's only like fairly early on and, you know, like matches that don't matter as much. For Zheng, it's basically every single like huge matches played, she has lost to Sabalenka. The Wuhan final, the AO final in 24, her 2 US Open quarterfinal, I think. It's a bunch of really big matches where she faces Sabalenka and just can't win.
It was like Coco Ego.
Yeah, pretty much, yes. I do think it's actually really significant for Zheng.
Mm. And then she went on to the semi-final against Coco and played a match of the year. It was definitely one of the matches of the year. It definitely happened this year.
It's a match that happened this year, yeah, for sure. I mean,
yeah.
I enjoyed it.
I also enjoyed it. But the stats counters won't be selling this as an all-time classic, and it was what WTA haters love to see in WTA matches, which is break after break after break after break, and like racking up those unforced errors, triple digits, and everyone failing to serve things out. Weird. I don't know what Zheng's problem with Coco is.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I think, the second match in a row where she serves for the match and loses the match. That's quite strange. Actually, the point count ended up actually being Goff's favor, so maybe Zheng didn't like deserve that match as much as I felt like, I guess, in that moment. But yeah, it was really like strange. They just were not serving well, either of them, and it's that type of match when it's like slow clay at night and they are both like super athletic and they just couldn't fit through first the court and also most of all each other. So that's where you end up with, yeah, that kind of super high unforced turn count, and whether you serve or return didn't even matter because they all went to rallies, so there were like no 3 points to be found. So it's always we play rally, whether it's on serve or on return. It's just who can outlast the other in that point, and you just go again and again. So it was that kind of match. I mean, there were a bunch of actually really great points for that reason because they are both like super athletic, can defend as well as anyone.
It's also one of those, I sometimes think the tone can be set right at the beginning of a match. Someone comes out and breaks immediately, and then from then on, you're always trying to the opponent's trying to break back, and if they then break back, their opponent thinks, oh, it's my time to win a game, because otherwise momentum's shit. And it's almost like, on slow clay at night time, WTA players, I mean, they both have pretty big serves. They're two of the better servers. It kind of like, we've already started from the point of we were in return game, so they just kind of continue on that. I think, is it 5 sets in a row against Coco that Zheng served for? Something like that. It's at least 4.
I think probably, yeah.
It might be 5.
Might be 5, yes. I mean, she served for all 3 sets, so 2 out of 5 is actually not a great ratio.
No, it's not very good. Not very good. That's, yeah. Strange. I mean, she's got like a really killer serve that can just, she can just plow through service games and serve +1 when she's on it. But she feels like one of those players that doesn't do very well making adjustments. So I feel like when she's not landing the big serves, there's no room for any kind of adjustment. But yeah, interesting that this is a good matchup. I think that's like promising for the future, that these two, they similar-ish ages, right? Both projected to be at the top for a while. So it's good that we've got back-to-back epics, even if they on paper were like not super high quality. But I mean, it's probably quite rare that Coco plays an epic and anyone involved in it has good stats in terms of winners to unforced error ratio, right? That's the...
Yeah, that's kind of what she does.
Coco won this match, this semi-final against Zheng, and went on to play Paolini in the final, who had beaten... Who did she beat?
Stearns.
Oh, she beat Peyton Stearns in the semi-final!
Did she not?
Oh, blimey. Yeah, maybe she did. Okay, fine, yeah. Well, she beat Diana Schneider from a losing position, very much a losing position. And then she beat Peyton Stearns, the marathon woman, to make it to the final. Did you watch any of these matches? Were you on the Paolini thing?
I mean, I watched like half of the Schneider match. I think momentum-wise, it just was crazy. I think it's that type of match where players just like randomly win 4 games, and it happens like multiple times, and it's not the same player every time. I mean, it was that kind of match where momentum like swung back and forth in like really extreme ways, basically. And I mean, she stayed to it. I think she was actually, more solid in that way, where she could accept that kind of shift and just keep going for it, keep trying. And she came out on top in that way. Schneider, I think, was just way more frustrated with all of it.
Is she a choker?
I'm not ready to go that far, but I do think she can get pretty tight and like really frustrated when that type of thing happens.
Can't really be bothered with that, because I think she's really good, and I can't be bothered with another one of them really good but chokers.
Yeah, I'm not ready to call her a choker quite yet.
Hopefully we stop that where it is now. And then she played Peyton Stearns, who was like, probably one of the big stories.
I mean, I would say she was the player of the week in many ways. That was like really epic run, to say the least. She back to back she played, I think it was Keys, Osaka, and Vitolina, and all of these matches came down to third set tiebreaks, and she won all of them. That was crazy. Like, you don't see that a lot. I mean, you don't see that ever, actually. I think that was the first time ever.
Yeah, the first time a woman's won 3 deciding set tiebreaks, 3 matches in a row. Yeah, some of us saw it coming. Some of us knew that Peyton Stearns is the 3-set tiebreak winner. I should have tweeted it, and I think I couldn't be bothered at the time. Before the Naomi match, I was like, this is just so obviously a 3rd set tiebreak loss, because Peyton Stearns, she plays so many 3-set matches. She loses a lot of them, but she also wins a lot of them, and they're always in tiebreaks. Like, she is not good at closing things out. And I just felt that this was where this was destined to go, just because God hates me, I guess. But yeah, what a performance. And what do you think about her tennis? Like, how do you rate that?
I think it's very good. I've always known about her forehand. I've been aware of it for a few years, I would say.
May I take you back to the US Open 2022 draw space, when I was hyping Peyton Stearns and you and Calvin were like, shut up. That is a made-up person. This is like when you say this person's great and it's like Lucia Bronzetti. And I said, no, Peyton Stearns is really good. I think she played Alexandrova in the first round. And I was like, I think she's going to win that match. And you were both like, no, we're moving on. Shut up. I'm going to look it up because I'm pretty sure that was the case. I was her first
That was
person.
2022. So I've said a few years.
Okay.
We are in 2025.
I'm just saying I was there first. I was a Stearns head.
You can claim that. That's fine. No, but all that to say, I mean, really amazing forehand. Like, I think it works like no matter the surface basically, but it's especially good on clay. It's really, really heavy. The only word for it, really. And she just finds so much like power, depth, height. It's really great.
ATP-ish.
Very much so, yeah.
I mean, we don't like to say that she plays like a man, but
I do think it makes a lot of sense for like that big breakthrough to come in Rome, where that's very much where you can find that type of shot. That's where it will peak, basically.
And she's a great athlete as well. Like, I mean, playing all those matches back to back to back, but she moves around the court well and she can put power into her shots. I just looked up the 2022 match with Alexandrova in the first round. 6-4, 4-6, 7-5. I picked her to win that when she was ranked, wherever she was ranked, and she was a wild card.
Well done.
And I watched a lot of it. It was on some outside court.
Yeah, congratulations to you from 3 years ago.
I pick a million different scrubs and say, this person's really good. And then maybe 2.5 years later, they might reach the semi-finals of Rome. And then I can say, what did I tell you? Yeah, I really like her game. I think she's really good. I think her ceiling in terms of results is sealed by the fact that she seems to always play these matches and she's not clinical.
The serve is not great. I don't think it's especially good. The rest of it is like the backhand it's not bad. Not great either, which is I guess that's a trade-off when you have, I mean, not always, but it also pays in comparison. But after, I think as a shot it's just not particularly strong.
Yeah, she runs around it a lot to hit forehands, sometimes to her own detriment, because she'll run around it and she'll hit a forehand and then you don't make that and then the opponent's got wide open court to hit into. But yeah, good player, nice run. She's part of the American trio, 2 of whom are the best players in the world. Kruger,
right.
Peyton Stearns, and McCartney Kessler. All of them have 2 surnames as names instead of having any first names.
Right.
And McCartney Kessler and Peyton Stearns are both excellent. And Ashton Kruger is tall. What else happened in Rome on the women's side? This is something I did want to mention. Naomi Osaka, after losing round 1 to Lucia Bronzetti and nearly forcing me out of the sport as a spectator, in doing so went to Saint-Malo. How do you say it?
Saint-Malo.
To a 125k and played whoever was there. I think everyone was outside the top 50. McCartney Kessler was in the draw, but rolled through there and won the title, which, yeah, I'm glad. At the time, I was very concerned. I thought, this is going to end in a round 1 loss to someone I've never heard of before, because sometimes these low-ranked players are like quite good on clay. But she made it through, I think partially from like confidence as well. She won a lot of these matches, you know, based on the fact that she thought that she should, and won that title, and then kind of came into Rome and had a nice little run there until she was stopped by Peyton Stearns in the 4th round?
Yes, 4th round.
Yeah, that's not bad, I think, and that was a tight 3rd set loss. I
mean, mostly the level was encouraging, I found, from Naomi. I mean, we knew she could play on clay. Actually, she did well in Rome last year as well, pretty well. She had some good wins. And then
beat Kasakina.
Yes, and in Kostyuk. And then, of course, that one match against Higa at RG, where she was also excellent. I did feel like there was a chance she would do well again, and I do think she's looking pretty good going into RG. So there's a good chance she could do well.
Yeah, I think again, like, draw dependent because of where she is at the moment.
Yeah,
and I did think in that Peyton Stearns match, if this were a slam, Naomi wins this match because I do think she has an extra 2%
Yeah.
of like what she's willing to give. And at that point, she'd won, I think, 8 matches in a row, something like that. A lot of them were 1-2-5s, and a lot of the Rome ones were 3-setters. But it's just kind of like a little bit of fatigue and like lack of motivation then kicking in. But she was good, overall good in Rome. I think a lot of comeback wins, which I like to see. There was Putintseva, right? And was it Putintseva?
I don't think so.
No, so I picked that up. Oh, Golubich. They're the same person in my head sometimes.
Yeah, and a lot of the time the comebacks were like she just wouldn't play like a great first set. And then, I mean, it was actually quite dramatic in that one match. I don't remember which one it was. There was one where she played that first set and, you know, she was fine, I guess, but she like got broken early. She just wasn't returning all that well. And then I watched like the first like 2 games of second set. And then I switched to another match because I think like Sina was about to play. And I just really thought to myself, she's going to win that. Like, I'm very confident, actually. And she did, because you could just tell like a gear had like been turned, and she just started playing great, and she like really rolled through that match, hit a bunch of winners, I think, in actually quite a few of these.
Was that the Buskova match or the...
I think it was Buskova, yeah. It was Buskova, yeah.
Because actually, Buskova was good as well. She did that thing of barely any unforced errors. I watched that match. Naomi was good there. I thought, like, I'm now at a place where I'm quite comfortable with her. And if she has to lose, like, next round and could produce this level again at Roland Garros, I think she should be quite, you know, in a good place. And it was, again, like, good to see how she reset after losing first sets a few times. Anything else happened? This was a very important point. Bianca Andreescu made her comeback after just under a year.
Less than that, I think.
Because she played the US Open at least. Yeah, she made her comeback. She's been on and off for a while, going to Costa Rica, having yoga retreats, being injured.
I don't think this was last year. I think this was the year before.
No. I mean, over her career, it's been lots of injury, this and that, finding herself, which I'm happy with. I love the way she is.
Yeah.
I love my favourite thing about Bianca, I've said this before, my favourite thing about Bianca is that sometimes she says things as if she's the first person to ever realise that. She'll be like, you know what, I was really thinking and I realised this about myself. And it's like the most common hippie therapy speak thing ever. But she'll say it and it's just so pure. It's like, how nice is that for you to think, I've just discovered something?
It's so true. I mean, and she does it every time she comes back, you know. It's like, I realised I my self-worth shouldn't be based on tennis matches. It's like, well, I love that for you.
I love her. I absolutely love her. And I think I love the fact that I love her personality and everything about her I love. And I forget how much I love her when she's not around sometimes, because then you watch her and you're like, God, this is so entertaining. She did quite well, right?
Yeah, she beat Rybaki now, and then she
beat Donna Vekic in 3 sets.
Yes, that's what it was. Yes,
and then lost to Zheng in straight sets. So, again, that's the Bianca thing, the narrative, at least for the last 2 seasons, she had done a lot of this, losing to players who then have success in that tournament. Yeah, not quite where you want her to be, but like it's not dreadful. It's not all the losses to Lesia Sarenko.
Yeah, I mean, her level was fine. I just didn't think there was that much she could do against a good version of Zhang. You know, she was just basically outpowered on the clay courts against Zhang. There's not that much you can do, honestly. Or not much she can do.
I just checked. She actually did come back in Madrid, where she beat the best player in the world, McCartney Kessler, and lost to Rybakina. So, yeah, lovely to see her back. Yeah, I hope she stays for a long time and is there to be watched, etc. What else from the women's tournament was relevant? Anything?
I mean, Raducanu had a run also to the fourth round.
Yeah, she did. Oh, I've got a funny story here actually. I was the day she played. Who did she play where she came back from a set down to win? Oh, I know who it was. Veronika Kudermetova. The day Raducanu played Veronika Kudermetova, I was at the LTA National Tennis Centre, and we had a little tour, and they showed us like, you know, there's like a wall of champions and things like that, and I had to pretend to be quite patriotic and be like, yeah, oh, Jodie Barrage, yeah, all this kind of stuff. It was quite funny. And the guy who was giving us the tour said, is Jack Draper, and he grew up around, around here. He feels he's quite a local boy, blah, blah, blah. And I said, oh, his dad worked for the LTA, no? And he was like, yeah, Roger, he was the head, whatever. And I was like, Nepo baby. I didn't say it, but I was like, Nepo baby. And then there was tennis on all the TVs everywhere. And there was like this big kind of countdown to, Raducanu plays today. We'll have to see how she does. And I was being the big Raducanu prop man then. I was like, yeah, no, she's definitely going to win this. I think she has it in the bag. This is Raducanu's tournament, Rome. Just lying through my teeth so that I might get an invite back. But I was right. When she lost the first set to Veronika Kudermetova, and I was like, guys, don't worry. She's coming back. She'll win in 3. It's fine. And I actually think I said there'll be 2 like 6-1, 6-1 or 2 one-sided sets. Anyway, that was my... Being in there did make me feel a little bit more patriotic than I otherwise would. Which is strange because like going to Wimbledon makes me feel very unpatriotic. But yes, she had a run. Basically, the point is Raducanu did quite well, and she lost to...
They all lost like on the same day, basically, like Osaka, Raducanu, and Andreescu.
Oh yeah, because it was the day where fun ended.
Yeah, pretty much, yes. She lost to
Coco Gauff,
right.
6-1, 6-2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not much of a match actually.
Their match in the Australian Open, was it a year ago or 2 years ago?
Way more.
Like that?
I think it was 2022.
Oh no. Famously, Raducanu played Sloane Stephens in 2022. Oh no, because she won.
It was 2023, I think. Okay.
That was quite entertaining. Crap, but entertaining. This was,
crap, but not entertaining.
Yeah. But yeah, do you think clay's her best surface?
I think grass should still be.
Yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, that makes sense. But she beat Pegula on grass last year.
And Sakkari.
Stop trying to make that happen. Stop trying to make Sakkari on grass a thing.
A top 10 player at the time, I think.
Yeah, but she was a top 10 player all throughout. She was a... Who was it who double bageled Caroline Dollarhide? Was that Diana Schneider?
I think so.
That made me think of the fact that Sakkari's Masters title was against Dollarhide in the final, and I was like, wow, Dollarhide is getting double bageled by someone who is like quite good, and she played a 1000 final. Anyway, WTA. Anything else for the women's? That was extensive. So we could look quickly, well, however long it takes, at the men. As you mentioned, the most interesting thing there was Jannik Sinner's return. Yeah, he came back after his doping ban. This was a big moment because we knew when it was announced that he was having this time off, everyone was like, oh, it's very convenient that he'll come back for Rome. Blah, blah, blah. He returned. He played some shaky tennis at the beginning, and then he played some quite excellent tennis at some point, and eventually fell pretty limply in the final to Alcaraz. Yeah, the notable parts there, I guess, the first match I watched was the Rude one.
I watched him all the way through.
Oh, really? So you'll be able to do a full analysis.
Basically, didn't like miss a minute of it. I was pretty excited for him to come back. I do think it's really great for the tour because, quite frankly, the past like few months, it's not like they were like boring or unexciting necessarily, but it was just kind of always in the back of your mind, you know. So yeah, I think it's just great for him to be back, and I think that's a pretty excellent actually return to the tour in many ways. I don't think expectations were that high for fairly obvious reasons, you know. When you can train as much as you want, if you don't play a match for several months, it might take you a while to get some things back, to find your rhythm, your physicality, to find a way to play well on big points, all of that. He pretty much figured it out like quite quickly. He wasn't playing like super clean, but he just knew when he had to play well, and he did, like very early on. And then came that quarterfinal match against Rude. Where...
No. Then came him meeting the new Pope.
Right.
Then came the quarterfinal match against Rude.
And I mean, he really was blessed by the Christ, God, and I don't know what happened. He was so good in that match, like to a quite unbelievable extent, even for like the best player in the world. That was really, really excellent. Good matchup for him, has to be said, you know.
Does he have a strong head-to-head against Rude? I can't remember them ever playing.
3 or 4 in his favour. And he actually did demolish him in Turin in the semis last year.
Oh, yeah. He demolished everyone.
That's true. But yeah, and that was crazy good. Like in every way that you could think of, really. And so when you see that, I think that sends like such a strong message to the locker room. It's like, well, I'm back and just as good as when I left, basically.
I feel like it was like he enjoyed that. Like, imagine not getting to compete for such a long time, and you really want to be out there, and like the first few matches you're not quite finding it yet, you're not quite in the rhythm, and then you get out and you're just feeling it, and it's just like boom, 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 boom. That was probably such a freeing and lovely feeling for him. I could imagine what that experience was like. Casper Ruud threw his hands up in the air after winning one game, because even in that game I think Jannik had break points.
He did, yeah.
After being, it was, what is it, 6-love 6-3 in the end?
No, 6-love 6-1.
Oh, yeah, that's not many games.
For a top player who is one of the best players on clay in the world.
Yeah, he just won Madrid, which is in itself very notable. For Jannik, he played, was that the quarter-final?
Semi-final against...
Oh, semi-final.
Against Paul.
Oh, yeah. So then he played the semi-final against Tommy Paul. Tommy Paul came out flying and served Jannik a breadstick of his own. And everyone at that moment was just thinking, oh, maybe Casper Ruud's just crap. But Jannik came back. I mean, Tommy Paul is the king of winning one set by breadstick. It's never a bagel. It's always just he'll win one breadstick set. He'll probably potentially lose a breadstick set as well, but he just loves to do that. If you were to say, I need one guy who can play precisely 25 minutes of excellent tennis, who are you going to pick? I'm probably going to take Tommy Paul, because he does this all the time.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the way I saw it was like, he knew he had to play like even beyond his standards, basically, and just go for it all the way, hit super hard, basically do all of it, always super deep, always super precise on the return, going after his forehand like way more than he usually does. It's not, his forehand isn't big on average, like at all. It's actually one of the weaker forehands in the top 20, I think. But in that set, it was firing super fast, super hard, super deep, and yeah, Sinner just didn't have the answers in that set. He probably was a bit shell-shocked by that, which you can understand. And then it turned very quickly.
It was so obvious as soon as there was one game. Actually, as soon as the first set was finished. I think Jannik broke quite early in the second set, right?
At the first opportunity.
Yeah. This is a win for Jannik, like, no doubt. That's just kind of who I think Tommy Paul is. Better or worse. And then Jannik made his way to the final, where he played Alcaraz, as we mentioned. That was a very disappointing match.
Yeah.
A promising first set. Jannik had 2 set points on Alcaraz's serve, and then I had a strong feeling Alcaraz would save those. He then won the tiebreak on what was a good set point.
Yeah.
And then it was a weird second set. I don't know whether it was a kind of tiredness or what happened there.
I do think he, felt pretty tired early on, and Alcaraz also was just turned it all the way on. Actually, in that second set, he was amazing, really, basically the best of himself, doing everything so well, serving, moving, not missing, also being very aggressive, very creative. It was pretty perfect actually from him in that second set. But Sinner did fall away. That first set, I think it was pretty good, pretty long.
More long than good.
Yes, pretty much. Not that high in quality. I think both of them had issues returning a lot of the time. Sinner had issues with Alcaraz's second serve mainly, it felt like, and Alcaraz had issues with Sinner's first serve. So they just kept holding until, Sinner actually, I do think should have probably taken that set in that last Alcaraz service game, because Alcaraz was not responding that well to that situation, and Sinner kind of blew quite a few of those opportunities. Actually, just for some reason didn't want to rally all that long and just went for way too much and missed, and that's just kind of what it was.
This is something though you might expect to to happen with lack of match practice, right, is you get an opportunity, it's a final, it can go away from you, bad decision making in the moment, that kind of thing.
And I do think it probably has to do with playing Alcaraz as well, because that's now 4 losses in a row. So if he's going to be nervous against anyone, that's probably against Alcaraz. So you can read it that way, I think.
Probably the biggest narrative in the ATP right now is the fact that Alcaraz has, despite being, a step behind Yannick since the end of 2023, has won the last 4 matches in a row against him and looks really up for those. Previously, the thing was, I remember someone tweeting saying, what does Yannick even have apart from close matches against Alcaraz? This was Yannick's biggest selling point, was that even if he's sometimes losing it to Daniel Altmaier from match point up in Roland Garros, he does always play Alcaraz really close, and a lot of the times, a fair few times, he comes out on top. That was what Yannick used to have. In the eyes of some people, I mean, others could always see the ability there, the game, and the potential. But this was like the thing was his rivalry with Alcaraz. And then since becoming the best player in the world, comfortably the best player in the world, and like one of the most dominant players ever, as the numbers would suggest, Alcaraz has just had him. It's a weird, strange kind of shift, but it does mean that the tour becomes a lot more interesting than if it were Yannick being comfortably the best player in the world and being better than Alcaraz when they do meet up.
In that way, I do think it's pretty much early pick Federer against early Nadal, where Federer was like so clearly the best player in the world, like far away. But he would pretty much always lose to Nadal, who was the second best player in the world, but still quite far away in basically every way. But when they actually played, he had Federer's number.
The weird thing is that was always the case, right? Nadal came on tour, I think the first match he played against Federer, and he was still quite young and like he wasn't number 2 yet. He beat him, and then it was quite obvious early on that this is a problem for him. This is a specific matchup issue, this high bouncing lefty forehand to Federer's one-handed backhand was a big problem. And then on top of that, he can move with him, he can hit with him, and he has the grit, let's say, to play him tight or to beat him. This Alcaraz Sinner one was like, ooh, Sinner looks like the better player in these matches, or he at least looks like he's in a really good position to win them. And now it's kind of swung back in favour of Alcaraz. I don't know. It's strange.
I mean, it's basically like whoever is way more dominant on tour is losing the matches to the other.
And honestly, in both cases, that's a good point, because in both cases it feels like the one who is less dominant really, really shows up and brings their highest level for those matches. So all of the earlier Yannick-Alcaraz matches, it was like, oh, this is how well Yannick can play. He doesn't do it all the time, but this is how well he can play. And now it's like the best you're going to see of Alcaraz, pretty much, is in those head-to-heads with Yannick. Since the US Open quarterfinal, their matches haven't been as good. I don't know, maybe that will go down as the best one ever between them.
That would actually be kind of sad now.
It would be sad. And I'd be surprised, but I mean, a lot of people would say that Djokovic-Nadal's 2012 Australian Open final was the best match between them, and they continued playing for 10 years, playing each other for 10 years after that, so it was also relatively early on. Probably not quite the same thing, because it was a final and they were both still kind of at their peaks, but yeah, I don't think it will be the best, but for now it is comfortably the best.
Easily,
the others
yeah.
Since then have been quite...
I mean, there have been a few really good ones. I think the Beijing final from last year.
I think the Beijing final was saved by... Not saved, but made great by some excellent moments, like especially that tie-break. I don't think that throughout it was as good.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think there's just like some nerves there. Maybe the fact that they feel like they have to play each other like so hard, maybe that kind of like makes the quality drop a bit for some
Yeah,
reason.
it's hard to keep that intensity the whole way through.
Yeah.
Alcaraz is already a player that's a bit
Up and down.
Yeah. I wanted to shout out to his lob though, which I said a while ago. I think it's the best lob ever in men's tennis, and I think it was quite good today, and is an underrated tool that he has and can use. And what else happened in the men's tournament?
We had some good salty Zverev content, which
Oh yeah,
is always very much welcomed.
Yeah, he lost to Lorenzo Musetti, who is on a tear with his new snazzy kit and his short hair. And Zverev complained that the balls were too heavy and slow and that he can't hit winners with them, and that all Lorenzo Musetti was doing is waiting for Zverev to miss, which is like really the most unironic thing that you could. I just don't believe how he can say that and think like, yeah, I'm right about this. And it's the what is it? We all need to find the guy who did this.
It's so funny, like hilarious. It's the one guy who is well known for his passivity in a lot of matches, in a lot of big matches.
He is one of the biggest pushers in the history of the ATP. I really think that.
For some reason, because he did miss a lot. He was like, well, he's a pusher, basically. That's what he said.
And about Lorenzo Musetti, like, who is really one of the least pushy guys on tour.
I do think he can rely on athleticism and defense.
He's a shot maker. He's a pure tennismo.
He is, but quite a lot of the time, he can do well in defense because he's really athletic. And it's incredible. I really don't know who can lack like self-awareness to this extent, really. And it's like he is objectively one of the best like tennis players in the world, and he has been for several years. And deep down, this guy is he's still a loser at heart, at his very core. That's who he is.
Yeah, there's so many things I could say about him and why I think he is the way he is and why I think he's like never going to find much success, but whatever, we just let the racket will talk, let's say, on that, you know.
He's never does, in the biggest moment.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the point. He has to talk because the racket can't. He has to go and say, oh, the balls are too heavy.
Yeah.
He lost again. That's that. He was defending champion and he lost to Lorenzo Musetti, who's doing very well at the moment. Other kind of mildly notable things: Arthur Fils keeps beating Tsitsipas.
Sure does. I think worth mentioning, Draper feels like a top player. Has been the case for quite a few months now. And there's just like never really like a big let-up. He just keeps showing up every week, beats most people. Sometimes we'll lose to someone really good, like Ruud in Madrid or Alcaraz in Rome. And he's top 5 now, and that's just might be where he is for quite a long time.
I stand by, I think he is a little bit, maybe not underrated, but overlooked. He was super hyped as like a teenager when he was playing Junior Wimbledon here. He was like more famous than most teenagers would expect to be, but I feel like people seem to just not care that much. Like he's quite famous, but I don't know. He's still treated. I don't think in the eyes of people he is yet a top player.
Yeah,
got the Paolini treatment. Paolini, who we didn't really talk about, by the way.
I feel so bad now that you should say it. I mean, it's because we didn't talk about the final very much because it was not good.
No, yeah, it wasn't good. Coco was weirdly bad after like doing what felt like all the hard work. Paolini won. She's now got 2 Masters titles, 2 Slam finals. She then won the doubles with Sara Errani as well.
I actually think that's so impressive.
Yeah.
And it kind of always happens. Like the best week of her career, she's always doing well in single and doubles. It's very Barbara Krejcikova in so many ways.
She does feel to me quite like a Krejcikova with less injury.
And less Slam final wins.
Yeah, of course. And less talent overall. But like this thing of a 27, 28-year-old being really good all of a sudden seems to completely baffle everyone. Whereas like, actually, no, that is the peak. most athletes' athletic peak. And it would make sense that if you're this kind of player, that everything might kind of click into place, you know, and if you have the vivacity and the mindset of Krejcikova and Paolini, who don't feel like they become despondent or a bit upset by the fact they weren't winning or making Slam semi-finals as soon as they arrived on tour age 22, it's not surprising that they would have really good years, 27, 28, 29. Like that's a normal age. I think tennis is so used to people showing up, being great at a super young age, and then that being where you're going to be, and you're on that path. And There's no room for late bloomers, even when the late blooming is a standard age for sport for athletes. Anyway, I think she's good. I think her forehand keeps getting harder and harder and harder, and her like defense and movement and scrapping is as good as it ever is. Good on her.
I'm actually very impressed. My read was actually, I guess I did underestimate her in that way. I didn't think she would have a top 10 year again. I don't know about like in her life, but I didn't see this year being another top 10 year basically. I think I had her like in top 15 or something. But she's back on track, very much so to finish in the top 10 again. I mean, we're still pretty early, but seems like it's going to be doable. And even if it doesn't, that's such a big accomplishment for an Italian woman to win Rome. Hadn't
Yeah.
happened in like 50 years, so.
Yeah, incredible. I'm just looking. I'm trying to find my top 10 because I'm pretty sure I did have her in there because I didn't want to be a victim of that thing that everyone always does, where they say, "Oh, great year." They did it to Krejcikova as well. Great year, but we're over you now. But then she started off a year badly, and I thought, "Oh shit, I look like a mug." I can't see her in one of my top 10s. Hopefully, she'll be in the other one. I know I made 2 predictions. Let me be right about something. No, can't find it. Maybe I didn't. Yeah, but an important, I suppose, moment for her to be getting points because she is defending Wimbledon final and Roland Garros final. So fairly big chunk of points will come off soon, but she's got a lot less to worry about now because of the Rome title and like looking in pretty good form for Roland Garros. She never seems to get tired as well.
It's really wild.
Yeah, she's quite incredible.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, it feels like Goff was the one who was exhausted by the Zhang match, basically.
Djokovic's performance in the final was strange.
It was very bad.
Yeah. She made the finals of Rome and Madrid, so
Yeah.
Dinara Safina's there, feeling proud.
Dinara
Safino.
That's decent.
That could work.
She's like, well done me on being number 2. She lost Rome and Madrid.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Sorry to Jasmine Paolini. I know you're an avid listener. We made you wait until your little segment came up. Was there anything? Oh, I did write down something I wanted to mention about clay season overall because we didn't talk about it before. It was in maybe Barcelona where Denis Shapovalov had to retire to this 17-year-old blonde Spanish guy.
We did talk about it, I think.
Did we? And released it?
Yeah.
Okay. I just have to double down and say that I don't like that guy.
The fact that he's still on your mind.
He is still on my mind because I saw him again and he was doing something annoying again. And I was like, you are a child? But oh no, you know what it was? I saw an Instagram reel. This guy, Diego de Dura Palomero, was asked his favorite streamers. And then he went on to list 5 streamers. And I was like, it's annoying to know 5 streamers. I don't like that. I don't care that you're young. I just don't like this guy. And he is my op, even though he's fucking 5 years old. I'm just putting a warning out there. Like, he's going to be annoying. Anyway, I don't think we released the last time we chatted shit about him.
I think we did.
Oh, no. Okay. Well, now I'm just straight up bullying a child. Anything else from Rome, or should we move on to the hotly anticipated power rankings?
Let's go for it.
Okay, so this is
as we have teased many times throughout this episode.
Sam's special power rankings that he used to do. Was it for every slam?
No, I mean, at some point I did intend to do them for every slam, and then I realized it doesn't really make sense to do it like before AO because they've only played like 2 tournaments.
Oh yeah.
And then I did them for like Wimbledon a few times, but mainly I think I've always put more effort into the clay season power rankings because it just makes sense. It's a more like cohesive unit basically. That's how I viewed it.
And you like to put Iga first.
I guess so, yeah.
But I know what you mean. Yeah, you start playing on clay, and then you keep playing on clay, and then you finish playing on clay with Roland Garros. It's a swing, whereas the others are like, oh, there's a few grass tournaments we'll get in quickly, or like whatever is going on in US Open. So This is actually, people always request them. One person always requests them from you, right?
Yeah, I mean, our friend Vic did ask me
Yeah.
about them. I was like, well, we can do them on the pod.
Yeah, we decided to bring them to the pod so I could get involved. What we'll do, as I mentioned before, I think is go from 10. I'll say my 10th, you'll say your 10th, blah, 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 all the way up to first. I've written down like reasons for each of them. So hopefully this would be more cohesive and accurate than the rest of the podcast. By the end, you'll see why like my rankings were right.
Hmm.
Do you want to start with the men or the women?
Let's start with the men. I usually don't do them actually. Yeah, a bit of backstory on the power rankings. I stole the concept from a great pundit actually on YouTube, Gil Gross, and he always does them every year, but for the men. And so a few years ago, I was like, well, I really like this, but he obviously doesn't do it for the women, so I'll just do it myself. That's how I came up with it.
Yeah, okay, good. You were doing your bit for equality.
Exactly, yeah.
And unfortunately, this is an equality podcast, so we have to do both of them. So why don't you go first?
Sure.
The concept of the power rankings, these are like in our heads top 10 favorites for Roland Garros, right?
I like to put them into tiers, which I guess for a top 10 is not like necessary, but I like doing it anyway. My 10th is Tommy Paul.
Tommy Paul, okay.
Yeah.
You want to give an explanation?
Yes, I always favor Rome as far as like significant results. If you do well in Rome, I put more stock in that. And beyond that, he's kind of like a wild card. I do think he has attractive traits on clay, mainly athleticism and, you know, good consistency and good physicality, all of that. And beyond that, yeah, I guess he's kind of my wildcard spot. He's just at number 10 instead of a special wildcard spot.
Okay, cool. My number 10 is Jakub Menchik. He has a super high ceiling. So whenever I look at, this is, I think, where we will differ a lot for these power rankings. Whenever I look at slams, I look at, it's quite important that you have a high ceiling and you could produce that you could beat anyone who might be in front of you. I don't think there's much point in having someone who's super, super, super consistent, but is like, you know, never beats the best players, because it's quite unlikely that they'll not have to play a top player. So Jakub Menchik, he's got a super high ceiling, is what we saw in Miami with the elite serve as well. You reckon he's got one of the best serves on tour, or the best?
Up there, at least like top 2 or 3, yeah.
Top 2 or 3. Because he's Czech, I think he should be good on clay. I don't know how history kind of backs this up or anything like that. I didn't do a super deep dive into his historical clay performances, but because he's so young, there's just not much to be gleaned from that. Yeah, I thought he could have a chance at winning. These are the power rankings for winning, not for like making a semi-final. On the flip side, I said he's got these, I think he has fitness issues, which are quite apparent fairly often. He's Czech after all, and he has never made a slam second week.
And I also think that's usually not the place where a great serve will get you super far. He has other things going for him, but you know.
This was reaching deep into the bottom of the barrel because on the ATP, he is also probably a wild card in that the gap between him and the top 9 is quite large.
I'm not convinced by, honestly, my top 10 either, so that makes sense. I mean, my 10th.
Yeah. Okay. Who do you have at number 9?
I have Francisco Cerundolo.
What the hell?
How is that shocking?
Because I have 9 players who are well above Francisco Cerundolo.
I don't think you do, actually.
Yeah, I do.
I would be surprised.
I think you've missed someone off.
He's really good.
Okay, tell me why Francisco Cerundolo is going to win Roland Garros.
Well, he's not, but you know, he has the 9th best chance, in my opinion. I do think he has actually taken quite a few steps that will ensure, not ensure, but I think he's dangerous, you know. He's the one guy who is ranked between like 25 and like 18 that you don't want to face in that third round or fourth round. That's really, really tough. I mean, he's really physical. He has all the tools you would need. And honestly, I do think if he had like performed better in Rome, like had just shut up more, I do think he would have been like huge trouble for Sino Leon. And he has pigeonized Zverev, who also does well at RG. So that's also, I think, a good trait to have. A strong matchup into one of the, a lesser favorite, but one of the favorites. So I do think it makes sense.
Okay. The pigeonization I see Yeah, I find it hard. Okay, my ninth spot goes to Stefanos Tsitsipas. He's been a Roland Garros finalist before. He was always destined to win this tournament someday. Or he was at least always destined to win a slam one day, but this was his best slam. Clay is his best surface. It's the one that kind of hides his backhand and return shortcomings the most. And I think I don't want it to be over. I don't want the Stefanos Tsitsipas era or whatever it was to be over. Like, it felt like it just came and went so quickly. I'm not even a fan, but like the potential of him winning a slam one day, and it feels like it's just gone.
Yeah.
He looked a bit better at some points during the clay.
For a clay season, and Tsitsipas, that's actually not great.
No. It wasn't. No. It wasn't a good clay season. Yeah, definitely not. But I think he showed signs of life, perhaps. Although he did lose twice to Musetti and twice to Fils. So on the downside, why he's not higher, if we needed a reason, he cannot beat Djokovic and Alcaraz if his life depended on it. I really, there's no situation where he wins a slam where he has to play either of those two, I don't believe. Like, it would have to be these guys cleared out beforehand. But, he was at some point the potential Prince of Clay for a brief moment there. That's my number 9.
At number 8, I have Olga Rune. Yeah, for I think reasons that are a bit more obvious. His play season has been really up and down. It was great in Barcelona, obviously, won that, beat Alcaraz. But it's just always about consistency, and can he still do it? Is he going to pull up okay after a long match? That's the kind of question you have about Rune. But beyond that, you just know, the skills are there very much so. The belief against Alcaraz is there, which I do think is also pretty important.
And Sinner as well, honestly. Like, that was his closest match at Australian Open.
That's true, yes. So, yeah, I think there is, as always with Rune, potential that doesn't always materialize, but I think 8 is a fair placement for him.
At number 8, I have Jack Draper. As we mentioned, he's kind of made his way into the elite. He's top 5. He made the final in Madrid, and he obviously won Indian Wells, so they're 2 slower conditions tournaments. They're not the slowest, but they're, promising. He seems to be always improving, so like he's one of those guys. He's not necessarily knowable yet, and I like the fact that he's got a few wins against Alcaraz. This is the same thing that you were saying about Cerundolo, that like it's important where the player is in comparison to the other potential favourites. So he was my number 8.
My number 7, actually, my friends, that's a bit surprising. It's Novak Djokovic.
No,
it is.
Come on, don't be silly. That's silly.
I don't
That's
think
silly.
It is. I don't
that
think
is
it
silly.
I know the whole thing. He picks at the slams. That's when he wants to perform. But I do think his preparation has been heavily disturbed. When he does well at RG, that's almost always off the back of doing well in Rome, which he for some reason didn't play at all. I just think like there is something afoot, and the results this clay season are non-existent completely. He's going to play in Geneva, so maybe somehow he'll do well. Maybe I'll reconsider it. But for now, I'm not saying it, but I see it more for the 6 people I have above him. So
6.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the write him off at your peril.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'll say. He was your number 7?
Yeah.
Okay. At number 7, I have Lorenzo Musetti. He made the semi-final or better in all 3 of the Clay Masters, I think. Great game. Eye test says a lot on him. You think, like, this is a guy who can play Tenismo. And I think he's been going toe-to-toe with the best players ever since he was a thing. Maybe not necessarily for all of the sets that you have to play, but he's always been able to bring a level that can challenge players, at least for some portion of the match. So, yeah, He's beaten Alcaraz on clay before in a final. He beat Zverev just now, right? I think, and he got the bronze medal at the Olympics last year. Like, he is a very good natural surfaces player, and I think he's ready to be doing it in the slams as well. And I kind of expect him to make at least the quarterfinals. I'd like to see him go further. However, yeah, he's got the fitness issues always. He struggled even in Monte Carlo, and he could also lose quite early potentially. I think he's kind of like Musetti 2.0 now, maybe since the beginning of the clay swing last year. Like, especially on the natural surfaces, he's been getting really good results for the last 2 seasons. So we'll see. But he's my number 7.
At number 6, I have Jack Draper for basically the same reason, honestly. I'm just impressed with the consistency, the ability to not lose to people he shouldn't lose to, which is pretty much always there now. So yeah, I think he could do well. Although RG is pretty similar to Rome, I do think it is a bit more serve-friendly, which I do like for Draper. So yeah, I think he could do well.
Another one, though, that, struggles with fitness. His one good slam run, his one really good slam run so far in his career was he threw up on court loads of times, right?
Sure, but in the semis, so if you threw up in the semis, you were able to have a good run.
Yeah. But that's I guess so. That was your number 6.
Yeah.
At number 6, I have Holger Rune. I think he's got incredible talent. He, before really making a name for himself on tour, said that his aim was to beat Nadal's record of 14 Roland Garros titles, so he better get started soon if he really believes he can do that. I think clay is probably his best surface. Yeah, clay is definitely his best surface. And he beat Alcaraz in that Barcelona final, as well as having had decent results here before. He's another fitness question mark, and sometimes he's just bad. Sometimes he'll just lose to someone because he's just playing badly. So I equally think he could beat anyone. So that's why I've got him a bit higher than you. I've got number 6.
At number 5, I do have Zverev. Yeah, which I do think is pretty obvious. That's might be his best time. Probably is. Just the conditions always seem to suit him really well. Has a bunch of good results. Obviously made the final last year. Was a set away, which was scary. Yeah, Zverev's number 5.
Fair enough. My number 5 is also Zverev.
Okay.
Defending finalist, as you said. He's good on clay. Has a high peak. Don't think we've seen for a while, but he does have a high peak. Lots of people used to say that Zverev at his best was the best, better than Djokovic at his best, better than Nadal at his best, etc. I would never go that far. And if that were the case, good for him, but when does he bring it?
Yeah.
He is this far down because he is shit when it matters. He's a choker, thank God. And, I don't see him winning a slam, really, ever.
At number 4, I have Lorenzo Musetti.
Okay. That's high!
I know, I'm actually a bit surprised reading it out loud. But I'm just really impressed. And I just think as you said, natural surfaces over the past few years, he's been just excellent. When your clay season is good and you have prior results that kind of back this, I don't know if it's possible that he will win, but a semi-final run, I see very much.
Even the final, to be honest.
If it all somehow falls right, maybe. Yeah, I just think he's playing really great. One thing, I was not that happy with the mental side of things against Alcaraz. Just felt really nervous and really shaky, which isn't great. But beyond that, I just think the ability are really impressive, especially on clay. So yeah.
You have Musetti above Djokovic.
I do.
So you really would be less surprised if Lorenzo Musetti won Roland Garros than if Djokovic did?
That's...
Novak. I know you're a big fan of the pod. We have some things to prove. There are haters here who don't believe in you. Crazy. Okay, my number... What are we on, 4?
Yeah.
My number 4 is Casper Ruud. I think it's big for him that he finally got the big title in Madrid. It felt like a long time coming, but perhaps a monkey off his back. I think he's super underrated, and actually the last bunch of years he's been very good at Roland Garros. Some of them quite obviously, but even last year I would have backed him to beat Zverev in that match. Did he not get ill? That was a quarter-final or a semi-final? Semi-final, right. Yeah, so not far off 3 Roland Garros finals in a row. I love his temperament and etc, etc, etc. I think this is true. I can't think of I can't think of a reason why it's not true. I think he has the second most Roland Garros finals appearances of any active male player. Because Thiem's retired and Nadal's retired. So I think having 2 makes him the second most finalisty guy at Roland Garros, which was, I don't know, kind of amusing. Yeah, the downside is that you don't trust him against the best guys. Like, there's like 4, no, maybe 8 guys who, if they were at their best, you think they'll beat him.
At Arja, I actually don't agree. I don't think it's 8. I think it's 2 or 3.
No! You think a peak Zverev doesn't beat Ruud?
At RG,
yeah.
If they're both playing super well, I'm not sure actually.
Okay.
If they're both playing super well, I would expect Zverev to choke.
Okay, yeah.
And I wouldn't expect Ruud to choke, so.
Yeah. Okay, well, there we go. That's me underrating him again. But I just think, he doesn't have that pedigree. He doesn't have the history of wins against top players the way Rune, Musetti, etc. have. So he is number 4 for me.
At number 3, I have Casper Ruud.
Okay. Third favourite.
Yeah.
It's amazing what a Madrid title can get you.
I mean, I don't think he needed it, honestly. He's just been amazing at RG for the past several years. I always like him on clay, and he had enough confidence, basically. Well, he got destroyed in Rome, but after Madrid, I think it's always pretty tough, actually, going back to Rome.
Also, he didn't seem that bummed out about it. It wasn't like, this is the end of my life, and I'm shit at tennis. He was like...
I think he'll very much be fine and go very far.
Yeah, I agree. And I also, looking at this list, he's one of the guys you trust in terms of fitness. Actually, maybe the guy, aside from someone like Zverev. Sinner has fitness issues... Musetti, Draper, Rune, Menchik. Casper Ruud is not going to have to retire or have to kind of limp through 5 sets, probably. So, fair enough. At number 3, I have Novak Djokovic. He is the winningest slam player ever, and he's the greatest player ever. So, I will never write him off. And... we've seen the level that he can bring when it's super important in Australian Open and the Olympics last year. It's still maybe only just, but it's still achievable for him if everything else falls into place, if he is rested and if he skipped Rome to rest rather than skipped Rome because he had an issue. I believe it's more likely that he had an issue, but if everything falls into place, it's him, and he's not going to have a problem in a final, and he's not going to have a problem with not closing it out or anything like that. So I put him there, and obviously his best tennis can beat anyone. At
number 2, Jannik Sinner, which also kind of pretty self-explanatory, but
can I quickly ask? Did you have him number 2 before the final in Rome?
Yes.
Okay.
But I don't know if I might have changed it had he won. Honestly, best player in the world by actually pretty decent margin, just playing excellent tennis all the time, almost all the time. She's probably a tiny bit worse on clay, not by that much. Easily top 2 favorites. I think he'll make the final in the vast majority of scenarios.
Yeah, you took basically everything I wrote down. For number 2, Jannik Sinner, best player in the world. I also think that he's fresher than others, which maybe... on the downside as well, he might not have the fitness for a best of 5 matches, but equally, these guys getting beat up throughout the season, he's come in, he's super motivated, he'll get through the early rounds quickly and easily because he does that. He's efficient against people he should beat nowadays, so he's not upset prone either. He's not as good on clay as he is on other surfaces, never won a big title on there, and I just think even being so as good as he is, like if he were to make it to the final and he were to play Alcaraz, I think he'd lose. Well, that's why he's second.
And at first, I have Stefanos Tsitsipas. No, I'm kidding.
It's kind of crazy he's not in your top 10. Tommy Paul!
He did something more impressive than Tsitsipas did the whole season. So
Yeah, but Tsitsipas has been winning Monte Carlo for years, and he has never won Roland Garros, having won Monte Carlo. So maybe the fact that he hasn't won Monte Carlo means that he will win Roland Garros.
right.
You'll see.
Okay. Anyways, all I did see Alcaraz. I did put him there before he won today. So excellent player, especially on clay. The whole like up and down thing can still show up on clay, but there's just so much margin there that he just needs like to flip a switch basically and play super well for 10 minutes, and that's enough to turn like a whole set around. So yeah, I think the margins are just really, really great for him, and his clay tennis is, when it's really firing, is truly flawless and one of the best, honestly, we've ever seen. So
Yeah. Number 1, I have Daniil Medvedev. No. Good joke. It's funny when both of us do it. Carlos Alcaraz, defending champion. He's a big match player. He's turning into something of a slam merchant. What else have I written? Oh, he won 2 of the Clay Masters as well. So actually his build-up has been as good as any clay build-up has been for him. So he should be pretty heavy favourite. And he's now got that great head-to-head against Sinner. On the downside, the reasons I give for him not winning, maybe he is still injured. He's still got that rap. I mean, no, it didn't affect him last year, but like whether that might come into play. Like, you don't think he's coming in completely clean and free on the...
you know what? I think he might actually be healthier than last year.
Okay, yeah, maybe. And another thing is that Djokovic is in his head now, and I think if that matchup were to happen, and like Novak is okay, I don't think it would necessarily be Alcaraz beats him because he's a better clay player right now. Like, I think there would be complications there. So I think he's looking to avoid that, especially on that court where that happened last year at the Olympics. That's the one thing on him, I think Djokovic could beat him if it came to that. I have a special wildcard guy. This is someone I didn't put him in the ranking because he won't win, but I think he's an interesting character. Can you guess who it's going to be? Someone to look out for, but won't win. He won't win.
Oh, Davidovich Fokina.
Yeah, Alejandro Davidovich Fokina.
I know.
I couldn't possibly put him in the power rankings because he's not going to win this tournament. He's not going to win Roland Garros, but whoever he plays, if he plays a good guy, if he plays someone on this list, could be interesting. Let's go on to the women then. That's the power rankings for the men. I'll go first this time. You're going to go crazy at mine and you're going to be really annoyed at me.
Sure, go for it.
They are very nice and normal. In 10th spot in my power rankings for Roland Garros, for the women I have Amanda Anisimova. She is a former semi-finalist. She probably should have won that year. She had quite a big lead against Ash Barty. Best start to a season. Are you laughing? Why are you laughing? You had Tommy Paul. She is better than Tommy Paul.
Yes, I mean, she is, but the semi-final was 2018. But...
yeah, and she's only older and better now.
Is she better now? Maybe a bit.
Well, she had the best start to the season that she's ever had.
Okay.
Right, she won this Masters title. She beat Andreeva in Miami and probably could have done well there if it weren't for the scheduling fucking her up. She likes playing good players. I think she enjoys the big matches, and especially she enjoys the matchup with Sabalenka. Yeah, I think she's super talented and high peak as well. Like, if we're looking at players who could rip through a draw, she's on there. For me, the question marks are the injury or the form. I don't know what's going on. I think she just pulled out of a clay tournament she was playing. Like, she quit mid-match, whatever it's called, retired. And she can just sometimes be stupid, the way she plays.
I would have seen it maybe, but there are just like no results on clay this year. Like I think none
Yeah,
at
but
all.
you can't think about Anisimova in terms of like, what did she just do?
Okay, well, fine, but did she win a match on clay?
That's not my problem. You criticise, that's fine, but I'll be laughing.
Okay, sure.
I'll be laughing when Tsitsipas and Anisimova are crowned Roland Garros champions.
I will be too. At number 10, I have Peyton Stones.
No, come on, see that's way crazier.
I don't think it is.
She had one good week.
In Rome.
Yeah, but it was. Don't let the recency bias get. That's crazy.
I just see it. I think her. I mean, and if we really have to compare to Anisimova, I think her clay game is better.
Only one of them has a Roland Garros semi-final.
Sure. I think one of them is playing great tennis on clay.
Okay.
It's Peyton Stones. So yeah, I mean that's really what it comes down to. In theory, I always saw it. I needed to see it come to fruition, basically, to have like any sort of belief that she could do something at Slam, at RG specifically, because I think it's really just peak conditions for her game. So
I will do a spoiler and say that she was one of my 2 wild cards.
Okay.
So that's she's kind of next on the list. But I obviously couldn't bump off someone as good as Anisimova for her. In 9th spot, I think you might get annoyed about this as well, I have Elena Rybakina. Yeah, we know, bad form, barely winning matches. Her coach or non-coach is a prick. And this situation seems to still be affecting her. She's had a really bad season, but crazy high ceiling, could beat anyone. She's good on clay and was good here last year, so I think for the next few years at least, always have to put her in the mix, even if it's not looking good coming into the tournament. That's my number 9.
number 9, I have Marta Kostyuk.
There is no way that you clown me for Anisimova. I'm sorry.
I also think she's a better clay player than Anisimova, so
Where's her semi-final?
not you, but where are Anisimova's clay wins? Literally any of them. Kostyuk, I do think actually had a good clay season.
She lost to Sabalenka twice. Fair enough. I honestly didn't see this.
And she made 3 of those 4 sets extremely close. So I do think there is something really to say for that. She has a great amount always of tools, athleticism. Shot selection is always, a bit of a mess, but that's just what it is. Yeah, basically I think she's maybe like slightly more athletic, but a bit worse version than maybe like Schaber used to be.
I think that's high praise.
I did say worse. She's worse.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I used to see her as I said this on a space once, back in 2022, before I was on tennis Twitter, I guess, that I think she's like Bianca. I saw that kind of bit chaotic comparison.
Yeah.
The thing I think about Kostyuk, I agree, I think her game is excellent. She made those sets close, but she didn't win them. And do you see any scenario where she wins them? Like, she keeps having the same issue, and I remember like watching her and always thinking, oh, she's going to be really good at some point, but she's still falling short, and I feel like she'll always just fall short.
Well, my thing is, against not Sabalenka, I think she would have won, like, against even people on this list, people above her. If she faces, like, Goff, I would be worried for Goff, honestly.
Yeah, and the fans as well.
Yeah, I mean...
And the unforced error counter guy.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it's just one of those things. I think there is potential there, and I think the form is there as well. So.
Yeah. No, I think she's a very good player, but a very good talent and good tennis, but I just... Yeah. I think one day in her career, one tournament in her career, it will click, and maybe she wins a 1000 or even a slam. But, like, I don't think it's now. But, nice pick. Out of the box. Okay, at number 8, I have Madison Keys. She's on pace for the Canada Slam. Because she won the
it's
first
true.
one.
Oh, yes. That's how it works.
Super high ceiling. She loves the slams. They call her Major Keys for a reason. And she's unlocked something there now at the slams. I don't even know how to say that without saying unlocked. But she has unlocked something with respect to the slams now, you'd think. Great player, great tennis. I feel like she's not had particularly good form, but whether that was like I'm going to chill out and then be ready for the big tournaments I really want to win type thing. Who knows? Maybe it's just she's lost whatever it was that she had a bit. But I think she's rested and maybe hungry for more success. Then again, she could lose in round 2 to Evanescence or someone similar.
Number 7, I have Madison Keys.
Wait, hold on. Number 8. You should be at number 8, no?
Yes, I lied. At number 8, I have Madison Keys for very much the same reasons. Not very convincing at the moment, but still does like the clay, needs to be said, and can obviously turn it on and play very well. At the slams, especially, maybe there is something different there. We just have to see, because she won, and now it's the first slam after she won. So
there has always been something different, though. Well, at least for the last 5 years, maybe, or something like that. Is that the something different wasn't good enough to win, right? She had a problem with fully converting, but she's always had. Not always, like I said, the last period, much better at the slams than at the regular tournament. So I kind of, with her, it's not, this form isn't as important. Is she doing a 500 this week?
It's funny, she played last year for sure. She won.
Yeah. I listened to that interview with Bjorn and Andy Roddick on Andy Roddick's podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that these 500s have been really important. He's saying let's go to these 500s. People don't want to play them. You pick up 500 points right before a slam. Don't get too concerned about being tired, blah, blah, blah. That I think they really quite like those 500s before slams.
Yeah, I don't know if she is there. Let me check. Madison Keys is not playing Strasbourg, no.
Oh, okay. I also think, Sloane is on the coverage.
Yeah.
I feel like she will want to impress her.
That's cute. Yeah, maybe.
I decided that. At number 7... You're going to get annoyed at me for how low this is. I have Jasmine Paolini. She won Rome, last year's runner-up. Obviously, lots of reasons for her to be in the mix or in with a chance of winning. She's confident. She's plucky. She's gritty and fights. Good big match player. Well, yeah, she's a good big match player. I trust her to kind of get out of losing situations if she is better than the player she's losing to. I just think she's a bit lower down than maybe she should be, because I think at her peak she's not as good as a lot of players, and she could be tired as well. Also, she's short. Also, she's 0-2 in slam finals, so maybe that's going to become a problem at some point. I see that as basically being because her peak isn't the highest peak, so there's always someone in a tournament who's better than her in those biggest tournaments. And I think she could make the final. I find it hard to see her playing someone in the final who she'll beat.
Number 7, I have Elina Svitolina.
I knew it! I was going to guess that. I knew she was going to be your number 7.
Yeah. Has had a good year. Just always missing that one huge win. But every week playing super well and goes quite far. And so I trust her on clay. She's always good on clay, on slow clay. Has won Rome a few times. It's a real place. If she had 1 or 2 higher tier wins, which she was close to a few times, I would have put her higher, but at some point it also kind of becomes an issue as well when you always go pretty far but also kind of always lose.
Not to name any names.
Yeah, at that stage, and not quite enough, basically, it feels like.
So I think I always knew this was going to be the case, because I remember from your previous power rankings that you do it based on the consistency is quite important. Whereas for me, someone like Svitolina, fuck off my list, because you've had the chance and you haven't done it. And I don't see that high potential. So many things would have to go right for her to find her way through. She is not on my list. And I knew she was going to be on yours, and I knew, yeah. At number 6, I have Naomi Osaka. She was the second best player at last year's Roland Garros, and she was incredibly close to taking out Iga. Incredibly, painfully close to taking out Iga. She's kind of now found a bit of rhythm and confidence, and maybe a bit of her game on clay, having gone to that 125k tournament, which, as we mentioned, she won. So, you know, she knows what it feels like to win a trophy on clay. It's probably her first at any level, actually, because I don't think she played that much in the scrubs. And she's a slam merchant, so I always, like I said before, add 1 or 2%, maybe more, onto her potential and onto her results, etc. at slams, with the knowledge that, like, she will show up for the most part. She'll care more, she'll give more. She was really good at Australian Open, which we kind of maybe forget because she had this injury, but she was good there and she looked like a slam Naomi. And it was a similar run-in where she made the final in that tournament before. So, like, yeah, I think if she stays healthy and she gets a kind draw, I can genuinely see it for her. On the downside, she could lose to Lucia Bronzetti. And I am not convinced she still has the clutch that she used to have quite as much. Like, I used to just trust her like crazy, but there have been reasons to question that recently.
That's fair. Number 6, I have Zheng Qinwen, who is really great clay courser, kind of always has been, but obviously has turned it up over the last few years, doing well in Rome, won the Olympics in this very venue, so technically she is the last person who won at that venue in singles. I trust her, especially now that she has that one win against Sabalenka. That used to be for me a big issue coming into a slam, knowing that, you know, if she's facing Sabalenka, it's probably over. That's probably not the case anymore. So I think that's genuinely quite big, and just beyond that, the clay skill set is really excellent. So
nice. I think we have the same. I'm one ahead of you. I think we have the same people going forward, and I know the one person that you have that I don't have, and I'm sure you do as well. At number 5, I have Zheng Qinwen. Same thing. She won the Olympics. She beat Iga there, which I know it was not like a good Iga, but an important win alongside the Sabalenka win recently. I think her game's really good on clay. Showed some signs of form in Rome. She could probably lose early. And I think she still has some matchup issue. Like, it's not just the Sabalenka one. The Coco one's looking weird as well at the moment. Like, she doesn't seem to like playing her or beating her. So that's why she's at number 5 and not potentially higher.
So at number 5, I have Higa Swiatek.
No, you don't!
I do.
That's insane.
I do.
That's insane.
And yeah, it's so funny because I have her at number 5 and I'm going to say a bunch of negative things to justify her being number 5.
Yeah, well, you better, because that is way too low.
It's such a weird situation. Realistically, what are you looking at? What's, you know, what could be your angle to be like, oh yeah, she's going to do it? It feels like, honestly, you're hoping for a miracle, honestly. She's not playing good tennis, like completely lacking in any confidence. So you're like, if she turns it on, you know, if she somehow finds a level she hasn't found all year. If that happens...
Well, hold on. What about Australia?
Yeah, she was good in Australia.
Okay. The last slam we had.
That's true, but she's never been a player who like treats slams like super differently.
Yeah, so maybe last year she goes, you know what? I'm keep underperforming in slams. It's because I'm putting too much on the regular tour events. I need to shift my focus and start really caring about slams. That has now, boom, like that. She's now great in slams, terrible on tour.
I don't think it makes sense at all.
5.
There are just like so many question marks. I understand people who would put her higher. I don't. It's possible, of course it is. It just doesn't seem likely, is my thing.
The only number 5 that should be next to Iga's name is the number 5 number of Roland Garros titles.
It's also her seed.
Yeah, but she will be... This is the 5, the sign of...
Well, also, basically, okay, I'll explain a bit more. I think it's 2 things. Question number 1 is, can she find a good enough level, which is pretty tough to answer. We will see, but I think it's unlikely. And also, it's like, if she's not playing that great, she can still make it far, but it's all up to the draw. is what it is to me. If she's like only facing players who she has like lots of confidence against, I think maybe even without her best tennis she could go far, and maybe that's enough time to unlock a good level. I don't know, but that's what you have to hope for basically. But you're hoping for it. You're not like expecting it. I mean, I'm not.
That is, I knew you'd have her lower than me, but that's very low. At number 4, I have Mira Andreeva, baby goat. She's been quiet since the back-to-back 1000s, but that maybe works in her favour. Like, I think she's ready for another big result. I think she's at her best pretty much as good as anyone. She can beat anyone. I think she's hungry, and I think she now wants to make the step onto like winning her first slam, or at least making her first final. She won loads of her last matches against top players, apart from the last time she played Anisimova. The one downside is that she was not good last year in the semi-final she played against Paolini. That was, for me, should have been a win for her, but she didn't really show up. So, I don't know, concern maybe? But, yeah, great player, could see her winning.
Number 4, I have Jasmine Paolini.
Oh, fuck, she's high up. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's still quite high. I can't say...
Above Iga!
Well, yes. I can't say I don't see the argument about, her pick not being that high. I just think she's a great clay courser, and she's proven it once again. I just do think she perhaps has what it takes. The final thing, I don't think it's a big issue, honestly. If you actually think, well, RG final, never winning that. Iga was actually playing great. Bad matchup. No way you win that. Like, not many people can even have like a hope of winning that match.
Well, my goat Mukova, she had hope.
True. And then the Wimbledon final against Krejcikova, I mean, she was pretty close to that, it's not like she was blown away because her level was just not high enough. I do think she shows up way more often than not in big matches. I think she has probably most matchups in the draw would be good for her, she not that many players she should actually be afraid of, even if she faces like someone like a Kida or Svitolina, I think she has a really good chance against those. So yeah, I think it's warranted.
Yeah, I don't think she has a slam final issue either. Those, I agree with both of those points. She would show up to those matches if she got to them. I trust that. Thoughts on her height?
She's not tall.
The funniest tweet, one of the funniest tweets ever, is one of our friends who tweeted about her when she sits on the chairs at changeovers and her legs dangle because she can't reach the floor. Oh, I love her. Great player. Great lady. Great woman. At number 3, I have Coco Gauff. She finaled Rome and Madrid. She's great on clay. Former finalist here. Former slam champion. Yeah, as gritty as you could get in a tennis player, I think. She's not going to choke either. You put her in that situation. I mean, the Rome final was weird, but you don't think
she didn't choke her level, which is good.
She's not going to fumble a good opportunity. Probably, however, forehand, serve, eager. There's other things that could put her... that are always in her way, I think, perpetually. She could also... maybe not lose early on, but she could have some messy early round matches. That's my number 3.
Yeah, my number 3 is Mira Andreeva.
Hold on. Wait, no. Okay, you don't have Pegula on your list.
No.
That's very interesting. I was so sure you'd have her on here and that I would have to fight you.
You know what? I think...
you forgot her.
So fun. I literally forgot, I think.
Yeah, I know. I opened up the live rankings to make sure I didn't forget anyone.
Yeah, no, so did I, but I somehow skipped over her name. I think it's because her clay season has been so unremarkable.
Yeah. Well, she won Charleston.
Yeah, I forgot about that. She just hasn't been on my mind very much at all, lately. So maybe
would you put her top 10?
I think number 10 over Stones is justifiable. or like number, you know, around that range between like 10 and 8. I think it's
Okay.
fair enough.
Sorry, you go ahead with your number.
Yeah, it's Andreeva. Love her game on clay. I think my main issue really is the Goff matchup, because that's just who she lost to in both Rome and Madrid.
she also did the Safano double of losing to Coco.
Yeah, but even worse. Yeah, it's really a weird run, because she kind of loses her mind like every time against Goff. I think it's just about like the patience you need when Goff is playing well. She never really feels like she has that. The skills that should be there, but yeah.
Coco frustrates a lot of people.
That's true, but a lot of people are frustrated because they don't really have the skill set to do anything about it. Andreeva does, and she just can't be. She just can't do it against her. So yeah, that's my big issue. But beyond that, I love her game. Love her game on clay. Obviously, a big match player, not afraid of anyone. Yeah.
Nice. Big match player, and she has tools.
Yeah. Perfect player. You know, that's all you need.
I think she's going to win Wimbledon, but yes,
yeah.
We'll take top 3 in Roland Garros favourites. Makes sense to me. At number 2, I have Arina Sabalenka. She's the best player in the world. She won Madrid, and she's a great slam performer. You know, she's all these semi-finals in a row, or quarterfinals at least, because she was ill last year. But really good run of slam performances. She took a not tactical loss in Rome, but she took an earlier loss, which I think means she's going to be really ready and rested for Roland Garros. Just a great player, although, you know, every now and then fumbles, so could see her fumbling, but she is my second favourite for Roland Garros.
My second favourite is Coco Gauff. It's really bizarre, because that's a great clay season. You know, you obviously you make finals in both Madrid and Rome. That's a great run, but the losses were just like so like bizarre and convincing. But that's beyond it. My big thing about Gauff at RG is that she only ever loses to Świątek, literally for the past 3 years. Where obviously Świątek went on to win the title every single time. So if you're her right now, you feel so good going into RG, because Świątek is not playing well, so it's like, well, this might be my chance. Now is probably the time. And I don't think that kind of like feeling or like thought could make her crumble, you know. She's just, I think she can embrace that, and just realistically, it's more likely than not Świątek will not be in her way this time. I think that's a pretty big argument for me, for her at RG, and beyond that, of course, loads of things you just love about her on clay. So difficult to like get past in a rally. Can obviously scramble better than anyone. Can make the matches like ugly, difficult, and find a way through. Just so much to like about her here.
And like incredible fitness. You never worry about that. Yeah. I think a Final Four for her should be kind of nailed on. If I had to bet on someone to definitely make the Final Four, it'd be her. My number 1 in my power rankings for the women's Roland Garros is Iga Świątek. Yeah, okay. I maybe rely too much on kind of prestige and history and stuff like that, but I also maybe like to push back on recency overcorrection. In this case, I don't think it's an overcorrection. Fine, she's in really bad form. But she is the greatest female clay player ever, in my opinion. 3-time defending champion, 4-time champion overall. If it was going to happen for her, it would be here, you know, this year or anything. If she's going to get back on some kind of track, it would be here. I'm just never going to bet against her. It's like Djokovic, but she's not 55 years old. I think she's excellent on clay, and you know, when she hits that the Chatrier red dirt, I just think she'll feel like she's home. She has lost there because she lost to Shinwen, so it's not the same as like if she didn't have that match when she'd been on a however many 30 match winning streak. I just think there's no one who is as good at any tournament as Iga at Roland Garros right now, and I think it will take something quite big to overcome that, even if that something quite big is her in like detrimentally bad form. But I also do think the fact that she's ranked so low and that the pressure's not on her really at all could potentially help her.
My thing is, maybe it happens here, but I think the most actually realistic option is that it happens after.
Yeah. But I also think that the level's so high here, the potential level is so high that she can be... There's a lot of room for error, if that makes sense. It could happen at Wimbledon in that she feels free and pressure's off and she's ranked 30th or whatever. But I don't think the game is good enough to plough through anyone when it's when she's like turned her brain off. I think if she got into the right mental space here, she could make it through even without the results and the confidence, blah, blah, blah. That's my thing on her. You don't have Naomi in yours.
I don't. I usually don't have Rebecca either.
You bastard. Thank God Kostyuk and Peyton Stearns made the cut, though.
At number 1, I have Aryna Sabalenka. All that needs to be said has been said, I think. She's just so good at tennis. I've just been impressed lately with her clutchness, really, like on break points. Before the young match in Rome, it really stood out to me. Every single time it's a break point, she has a great answer, a huge serve, or like a great shot. She's so locked in. She's so confident. She just, even when she's not playing that well, she can make it happen. She can turn it around. She can start horribly and then find her way back. And kind of like with Goff, it's the year. It's a great time to find your form at RG and finally get your chance at the title. It's actually different from Goff because she has actually never been stopped by Swiatek. She just always loses to like her stomach or to or to Mukova from 5-2 up or whatever. But yeah, beyond that, yeah, I think she's very much a favorite here, and I think it's just way more realistic for her to win than anyone else. Even though I think these conditions, she can play well there. She actually was playing really great last year until she ate like a steak or something. I don't remember what it was.
Her and Casper went to the secret party together.
Right, yeah. That pairing makes a lot of sense. I'm not like super confident she'll win, but I think she's just more likely to do it than anyone else.
Okay, question.
Yeah.
If it were a final, Iga Sabalenka Roland Garros final, who do you think wins that?
Iga.
Okay.
Because I'm always assuming that if she made the final, it means the level is high enough.
Yeah, okay. This is what I thought, and I agree with. That's why yeah. Excellent. Okay, my other wild card, by the way, was Diana Schneider.
That makes sense, actually. I considered her.
Yeah, she's got great tennis. Yeah. Still maybe a bit underrated.
Yeah. My wild card is Naomi Osaka. I didn't actually have wild cards, but...
Okay, yeah. You need to mention her because you know she's going to win. Okay, great. I think we've done enough kind of predictioning type stuff today. I do have a question, a starter for tennis question, which I crafted thinking it was fairly likely that Yannick Sinner was going to win that Rome final. Not like super likely, but he would have a chance, and then I could use this question because it is about how many times in big tournaments, that's the slams, the joint 1000s and the year-end finals and Olympics, since 2000 have the two champions been from the same nation. Which tournaments has that been the case for? And then on top of that, which tournaments have that been the case for where it is a home tournament? So the champion of the men's tournament and the champion of the women's tournament were from the same country, and that country was the country the tournament was in. I could tell you that one country has done it 12 times since 2000, one country has done it once, and one country has done it twice. The one that's done it 12 times is obvious.
It's the United States, yes.
Yeah. But I want you and the listeners at home, who are still here 3 hours deep, to give me all the times that's happened. That's when the champions of the men's and women's tournaments were from the same country. And bonus thing is if you can tell me when it's happened when they were a home nation. It nearly happened
in Rome,
today in Rome.
Okay. I mean, the US, there are like a bunch of combinations that you can think of.
It's only happened once in the 2010s.
Yeah. Must have been Serena and...
It wasn't Serena in the 2010s.
Wow, it was not Serena. So...
No.
Huh.
And actually, I'll give you this, as it was also a home tournament.
Right.
So 2 American players won an American tournament.
Cincinnati. Miami, no.
Yeah.
Is it Isner and someone else?
Yeah.
Is it Isner and... So he won Miami in 2019 or something? No.
Federer won in 2019.
Right, in 2017. Oh, one. I actually don't remember when Isner won Miami. I just know he did. It was Isner and... Huh. And Sloane Stevens.
Nice work. Yeah, that's really good. 2018 Miami,
Okay,
Isner and Sloane Stevens. For everyone else, you got to tell me all the rest of them, or us, all of the rest of the times that's happened.
I'm actually kind of proud of that one, first of all.
Yeah, it was good.
Thinking of a good American man in the 2010s, that's a real challenge.
Yeah, that's true. And calling him good is a stretch.
Well, good enough to win the phone, I guess.
Any other notes?
We will be back to preview the RG draw, as always. Well,
as we always are with Roland.
Yes, we're always on time and always...
yeah, and Sam promised he's going to do it all in French.
Yes. That will be a very interesting conversation where, where I understand everything she says and she doesn't understand anything.
I understand. I think I could get by. Maybe we test it out.
Okay. So yeah, we will see you soon. Probably sooner than usually would between two pods. So
well, less than 2 months.
Yes. Probably.
Maybe. Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for listening. Obviously a long one, but a lot to catch up on. I hope you found the power rankings interesting. I always enjoy doing them, whether it was in my tweets or on the pod with Char. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.